Burundi, a country of whom it was said that there's a danger of genocide, got itself off the list for whom the commissions of inquiry were invited to the third committee. And they all put up with it. Morocco went along. Okay. Morocco also filed the complaint against inner city press, which was dredged up to get inner city press thrown out of the UN. 91 days. 91 days.
I'm speaking this morning for my delegation to firmly oppose the addition of what some still call the Commission of Inquiry on Burundi in the list here under the special procedures for the presentation of the biased and politically motivated report to the third committee. Our argument for that is simple. There is no legal basis justifying this inclusion on the agenda of this committee during this session. Firstly, the Human Rights Council calls upon the Commission of Inquiry to communicate its report to the African Union and the competent bodies of the United Nations. For us, communicating does not necessarily mean physically coming to present the report orally here to the third committee. Secondly, the Human Rights Council asks this committee to present the report during the 74th session of the General Assembly. And I think currently we're in the 73rd session of the General Assembly. Chair, this trend of wishing to place on the agenda of this committee items on Burundi is a dangerous precedent for some countries. They seem to want to change some United Nations bodies into a political pressure tool, and in order to exert geopolitical pressure in carefully targeted countries. This trend could compromise the noble aims in terms of human rights that the member states had set for themselves when it was created in 2006. Moreover, this move towards excessive politicization of human rights and policies of selectiveness and double standards run counter to the principles of universality and indivisibility of human rights. Chair, what is happening in Burundi, what has been happening since 2015, with the irrational insistence of a minority of member states, is just a geopolitical game, really, rather than a human rights question. How can we explain the differences in positions between 3 UN bodies on the same topic, the same situation, over the same period of time? The Security Council, the Secretary General, through his Special Envoy, have noted a significantly improved situation in Burundi, whilst the Human Rights Council, controlled by a minority of states, is continuing to express concern over Burundi and trying to politicize a human rights issue with an intention to change the elected institutions via violent and anti-constitutional methods. So this Commission of Inquiry is to the service of players who, since 2015, had been trying in Burundi to change the regime in anti-constitutional violent measures, but they've been doing this in vain. This has been defeated, but the plot has not completely gone away, and they're trying now to resuscitate this macabre project by using, unfortunately, some United Nations bodies, such as the Human Rights Council, which some countries are beginning to leave, in criticism of its ways of working and the control of a minority of states within that body. We wish to spare the third committee of this dangerous trend so that its credibility can be maintained. Therefore, I express my opposition to the addition of Burundi to the agenda because there is no legal basis for it, and I defy anybody to prove that there is a legal basis justifying its inscription on the current agenda of this session for this committee. I thank you.
I recognize the distinguished representative of Morocco. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I would like to extend congratulations to you for chairing the third committee. Now, my delegation would like to express the wish that this session begins its work in an atmosphere of calm, transparency, and we would like everyone to be tolerant and accepting of the proposals and opinions and views of others. Thirdly, Chair, my delegation would like to support the request made to delay and postpone the adoption of the programme of work as we wait for a legal opinion, because simply it's just a request made by a member state whose country is features on the list of mandate holders. Secondly, though, because reading the resolution adopted in Geneva that I have before me, even as I check with my colleagues, paragraph 22, OP 22, gives rise to several interpretations, particularly when we talk about interactive dialogues. The submission of the report and presentation of the report is there in that paragraph. But the interactive dialogue, I can see it concerning the Human Rights Council. My delegation does not see it pertaining to the General Assembly, but also there is a problem with the choice of session. During which session are we talking about? Here we can clearly see the 74th sessions mentioned in this paragraph, the 74th session of the GA. So there are several interpretations, and so we would like to wait for a legal opinion on this particular issue. Thank you very much, Chairman.
The committee has thus completed its consideration of agenda item 137, that is program planning.
Okay, here we are. It's Tuesday, October 2nd. Inside, the third committee is meeting. We covered it this morning. What happened in the third committee? Guess not. In total decay of the UN under Antonio Guterres, Burundi, a country of whom it was said that there's a danger of genocide, got itself off the list for whom the commissions of inquiry were invited to the third committee. And they all put up with it. Morocco went along. Okay. Morocco also filed the complaint against Intercity Press, which was dredged up to get Intercity Press thrown out of the UN. 91 days. 91 days. Antonio Guterres, the most corrupt Secretary General ever, the only one that actually thought of having a journalist physically beaten up, excluded for 91 days, using an army of blue-shirted, it's not their fault, they just take the money. Isn't it true? Isn't that what happens? Anyway. So let's explain. Today in the noon briefing, we had in advance asked about this sexual exploitation case. It was disclosed yesterday after 5, a data dump. A UN policeman from Nigeria in the DRC substantiated case of sexual exploitation and abuse. We asked today in writing, tell us why there's no accountability. Tell us why the website says not applicable, etc. No answer in writing, but one of the correspondents given full access said, I can't read the website. And the spokesman said, don't worry, I'll answer you afterwards. We can talk about it. Yeah, let's have a little chit-chat about UN rape off camera.
I have a hard time reading that website. Do you have anything, more cases of peacekeeping misconduct that you can report on?
Yeah, I'm not sure what specifically you're referring to, but we can talk about this. We can talk about this afterwards, and if there's any particular cases, and I'll follow up with you on that. Bless you.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary General, why have I been banned from the UN? For 17 days, I can't enter the UN. I'm a journalist. It's censorship. Your security roughed me up as I covered the budget, and I can't come in for 17 days. It's called censorship. It's really unfortunate. You need to do something about it. I wrote to you on June 25th. I said Lieutenant Dobbins had attacked me. Why didn't you do anything on Cameroon? 100 villages burned down. A journalist thrown in the street that asks about it. It's shameful. It's shameful censorship by the Secretary General.